The dawn of the 1930s brought a revolution in military aviation. As biplanes faded from the skies, a new breed of aircraft emerged, sleek, all-metal, and faster than ever before. Among these pioneers stood a small, unassuming fighter, the Boeing P-26 Peashooter. Though it looked simple, the P-26 marked a turning point in the history of aerial combat. This is the story of the Peashooter, America's first all-metal monoplane fighter. The Boeing P-26, often called the Peashooter, was a single-seat fighter developed for the United States Army Air Corps in the early 1930s. It was the first all-metal monoplane to enter frontline service with the U.S. military, representing a bold departure from the wood and fabric biplanes of the previous decade. With its fixed landing gear, open cockpit, and distinctive headrest fairing, the P-26 was instantly recognizable. Despite its modest appearance, it was a technological leap forward, bridging the gap between the era of the biplane and the high-speed monoplanes that would soon dominate the skies. The story of the P-26 begins in the late 1920s, as military planners recognized the need for faster, more durable fighters. Boeing, already a leader in aviation innovation, responded with the Model 248 prototype, which first took to the air on March 20, 1932. The Army Air Corps was impressed by its performance and ordered it into production as the P-26. Entering service in 1934, the Peashooter was a radical departure from previous fighters. Its all-metal structure offered greater strength and longevity, while its monoplane configuration reduced drag and improved speed. The P-26 was not without controversy. Some pilots and commanders were wary of abandoning the tried-and-true biplane layout. But the Peashooter's success proved that the future of air combat lay in metal monoplanes. The P-26 was a compact, single-seat fighter powered by a radial piston engine. Its most striking feature was its all-metal construction, a rarity at the time. The aircraft measured just over 23 feet in length, with a wingspan of 28 feet. Its open cockpit provided excellent visibility, though it left the pilot exposed to the elements. The fixed landing gear, with streamlined wheel pans, was a compromise between simplicity and aerodynamic efficiency. The P-26's Pratt & Whitney 1340 engine produced around 600 horsepower, giving the aircraft a top speed of approximately 234 miles per hour. The Peashooter could climb to 10,000 feet in just over 6 minutes, and its range exceeded 350 miles. While its design may appear primitive by later standards, the P-26 was a formidable machine for its time, offering a glimpse of the future of fighter aircraft. The P-26 was armed with 2 machine guns, typically a combination of .30 and .50 caliber weapons mounted in the nose. Some export versions carried only .30 caliber guns. The aircraft could also carry a small bomb load up to 200 pounds on racks beneath the fuselage, allowing it to perform limited ground attack missions. The Peashooter's simple instrumentation and controls reflected the technology of its era, but its robust structure and responsive handling made it a favorite among skilled pilots. While lacking advanced systems like radios or retractable landing gear, the P-26's lightweight and clean lines provided excellent speed and agility. Its mission was clear: to intercept and destroy enemy aircraft, and to serve as the vanguard of America's evolving air power. The Boeing P-26 entered service with the U.S. Army Air Corps in 1934 and quickly became the backbone of America's pursuit squadrons. However, its frontline career in the United States was relatively brief, as newer, more advanced fighters soon appeared. By the late 1930s, the P-26 was being phased out in favor of enclosed cockpit, retractable gear designs like the Curtiss P-36 and Seversky P-35. Yet the Peashooter saw combat overseas. Exported to several countries, it was used by the Chinese Air Force during the Second Sino-Japanese War, where it faced Japanese fighters in some of the earliest air battles of the conflict. The Philippine Army Air Corps also operated P-26s, and these aircraft flew in defense of the Philippines during the opening days of World War II. Despite being outclassed by newer enemy fighters, Peashooter pilots fought bravely, scoring some of the first aerial victories for their nations. The greatest strength of the P-26 was its role as a technological bridge. It demonstrated the advantages of all-metal construction and monoplane design, paving the way for the high-performance fighters of World War II. The Peashooter was significantly faster than the biplanes it replaced, with improved climb rate and maneuverability. Its rugged structure allowed it to withstand the stresses of high-speed flight and combat maneuvers. For pilots, the P-26 offered a taste of the future, greater speed, improved handling, and a glimpse of the innovations that would soon transform air warfare. The Peashooter's success convinced military leaders that the era of the biplane was over. Yet, the P-26 was not without its flaws. Its open cockpit left pilots exposed to wind, weather, and enemy fire. The fixed landing gear increased drag, limiting its top speed and agility compared to later retractable gear fighters. Armament was relatively light, with just 2 machine guns and a small bomb load. The Peashooter's design left little room for upgrades or heavier weapons. As aviation technology advanced rapidly in the late 1930s, the P-26 was quickly outclassed by newer fighters with enclosed cockpits, retractable gear, and more powerful engines. By 1941, it was largely obsolete in frontline service. For historical context, the Boeing P-26 Peashooter should be read as a product of a specific requirement, not as an isolated machine. It was built by Boeing for United States, with the intended role of interwar all-metal monoplane fighter. Its first flight is recorded as March 20, 1932, and its service entry is recorded as 1934 with the U.S. Army Air Corps. Those dates matter because they place the aircraft inside the technology, doctrine, budget pressure, and threat assumptions of its era. The technical story also depends on how the airframe connected structure, propulsion, systems, and crew workload. Key recorded details include crew, 1 pilot, engine, radial piston engine, structure, all-metal monoplane with open cockpit and fixed landing gear, weapons, machine guns and limited bomb load, mission, interwar pursuit fighter. In practical terms, an aircraft is never just an engine or a wing. Range, speed, radar, sensors, targeting equipment, weapons, avionics, fuel capacity, maintenance access, and mission planning all decide whether the design can do useful work repeatedly. The operational record of the Boeing P-26 Peashooter is tied to Second Sino-Japanese War, early World War II service with export users. Those examples show how the aircraft performed away from brochures and test figures. Combat service, patrol work, reconnaissance, training, deterrence, and deployment tempo all reveal different truths. A design that looks strong on paper still depends on crews, spare parts, weather, basing, intelligence, rules of engagement, and the ability to return for another sortie. The main strength of the Boeing P-26 Peashooter was important transition from biplanes to metal monoplanes, higher speed than many earlier biplanes, showed the direction fighter design was moving. That strength did not mean perfection. It meant the aircraft gave commanders a useful answer to a real problem. The best way to judge it is to ask what mission it made easier, what earlier limitation it solved, and whether operators kept trusting it after the first years of service. The main weakness and limitation of the Boeing P-26 Peashooter was open cockpit and fixed gear became obsolete quickly, light armament, limited growth potential. Its later status is best summarized as retired as enclosed cockpit, retractable gear fighters replaced it. Every military aircraft eventually needs newer sensors, newer missiles, changed budgets, aging structures, and different doctrine. That is why the final verdict has to balance reputation against evidence, what the aircraft promised, what it actually delivered, and what it cost to keep useful. A final practical point is sustainment. The Boeing P-26 Peashooter required trained pilots, ground crews, inspections, spare parts, fuel, weapons handling, and mission planning before it could produce a useful sortie. That support system is part of the aircraft's real history. Performance figures explain what a machine might do once airborne, but readiness, repair time, training quality, safety margins, and upgrade paths explain whether an air arm could keep using it year after year. Although its time in the spotlight was brief, the Boeing P-26 Peashooter left a lasting legacy. It was the first step toward the modern fighter, showing the world that speed, strength, and innovation would define the future of air combat. Today, a handful of P-26s survive in museums, reminders of a pivotal moment in aviation history. The Peashooter may have been small, but its impact was enormous. If you enjoyed this look at one of aviation's great transitional fighters, subscribe for more stories from the golden age of flight.